Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time. And today we're going to get right after it with You're the Problem. Why am I saying it that way? Because, look, we've done these episodes before. It's been a while, but in this situation, I think it's the best approach. You're the problem requires some empathy, not just an I told you so. And the important part here is what my tip of the day is: open your eyes, your ears, your other senses. Pay attention. I have found myself growing more and more irritated with you, frankly. The people who may be listening to this. I don't know directly if it would be my audience per se, but definitely there's some growing frustration around you, fellow citizens of the United States of America, who are, either purposely fools or just not paying attention very well. I don't always observe every part of life well, and neither do you. So I'm not asking for perfection because I'm irritated. I know you have a lot going on. I know it. I get it. And you don't have time to vet everything out, and you find sources that you think you can trust. And frankly, many of you chose to be ignorant. Now, that's really harsh sounding, and I know that doesn't probably feel super good. Okay, I get it. They're lying to you again. And if you don't wake up, and I'm going to use this episode of You're the Problem to hopefully help you wake up to reality, not a reality that they paint for you, not some fantasy that you wish you could be in. No. Reality. Something that exists whether you like it or not. Reality. And how are they lying to you again? Here's the message that they want you to believe. That Joe Biden, now this is all coming out because of the recent cancer stuff, and I'm not going to really touch on the cancer piece. Frankly, I don't need to. My heart goes out to anybody who's wrestling with cancer. That is a hard diagnosis to get. That is hard for family and friends. Even if you're a terrible, horrible, no good person, if you get that diagnosis, you're in prison because you're a murderer. You get that diagnosis. It's still hard. It's still a hard reality. But what they're trying to convince you is that the people around Joe Biden, they are protecting him. They were protecting him. They are protecting him. And I'm going to be honest. If you believe that, you are dumber than you look. That is false. They were exploiting him. Don't let them convince you otherwise. And this is not a political thing. I'm going to show you based on evidence that I created along the way. Now, I don't know if this is good practice or not, but I don't really give a crap. I'm going to pull up episodes of my podcast from May of 2024, from August of 2023, and from June of 2023. And I'm going to show you clips of me trying to help you wake the heck up. Pay attention to yourself, not to me. Please don't get stuck on me. It's not about me. Pay attention to yourself. You knew the information. Many of you at least, did not pay attention. That's where my irritation comes from. I deal with this all the time here in my office. People want to ignore the things that don't fit their preconceived ideas. And I get it. Confirmation bias is strong. But don't do that. Wake up. Pay attention to your senses, your eyes and your ears. And this is not just in the political arena. Do this in your life. I'm using the current cultural context to help you see it from a distance, because a lot of times we can learn these things by looking out at a distance and seeing it in other people's lives and experiences, and then taking that back and say, wait a minute, how do I apply that to my life and my experience? So without further ado, I am going to take you, for those of you who are watching on Rumble, YouTube, you're going to have the opportunity to see these old podcasts that I had put together. And my hope is that for those of you who are not, maybe you'll kind of bounce over there and take a quick peek and see what we've got going on those platforms. But look, what I'm going to first start you off with is I'm going to go back to the oldest of the old. I'm going back. Actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? Skip that. I'm going to go to this one first because it's mandatory reporting, folks. When I say to you, they're lying to you again, this is what I mean. If this is me in May of 2024 talking about mandatory reporting. Mandatory reporting. That is, you can go listen to the whole thing, but just listen to this clip and tell me like what your thoughts are. Leave comments and stuff like that. Let me know what you're thinking.
Mandatory report laws are what require clinicians like myself, other medical professionals, psychologists, basically anybody that's in the helping professions has a report requirement. And so I want to go over that a little bit. And then I want to zoom in on the elderly abuse because let's be really clear. If Joe Biden's handlers are wise, they will stay away from Montana, they will stay away from Idaho, and they will stay away from Oregon. Why? Because if Joe Biden sets foot in Oregon, Idaho, or Montana, I'm telling you right now, I probably don't have a choice but to mandatorily report for elderly abuse. I'll show you. So hang in there. I'm not just making crap up. I have talked about Joe Biden's status of mental health on multiple occasions, not because I know him intimately. I do not know him intimately, but there are some massive signs and symptoms that are visible in spite of an effort to hide them. So if there's,
folks, what does this mean? What does this mean? This means that in May of 2024, for all of you out there who might have been paying attention, and look, I don't have a ton of time to devote to this. I really don't. But to all of you who were paying attention, you could have and you should have known. And if you didn't, you probably got to start asking yourself, why did I miss this? Was it because I wanted so badly to believe? Because if that's the case, then you're a fan. Fans are susceptible to being fanatic. Fanatic means unreasonable sometimes. They will believe things that aren't possible sometimes. Or was it because I wasn't paying attention? In which case, wake the heck up. Start paying attention because it matters. It matters so much. Okay. The next clip I'm going to show you, I don't, you got to bear with me here. The next clip I'm going to show you is going to take you back to June the 19th at let's see, of 2023. And on June the 19th of 2023, what we encountered was a questions, it was a questions for Jeremiah episode, um, where a person asks me, can he make it another term? This was June 19th, 2023. And listen to somebody who is trying to just pay attention. Doesn't always get it, everything exactly right, but just tries to pay attention. I don't have enough details on Joe Biden and his particular issues to say I could adequately diagnose or treat the symptoms that we seem to be seeing from out here in through the lens of the videography of that other people are catching. What I know is, this is probably something in reference to things like his fumbles and misses when it comes to reading teleprompters. The way that this one sounded, I'd actually probably lean toward this is probably a Democrat who's trying to decide if they can stick with Joe Biden another term. I don't know. Folks, this isn't super difficult. This is not super difficult. It just means you got to open your eyes. You just got to open your eyes. That's it. Just open your eyes. Please, I beg of you. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a tiny bit and I'm going to show you the next clip. This clip is going to show you that in June of 2023, I went over the questions that you should be asking. The questions you should be asking. I laid it out for you because I care. I want you to figure this stuff out. I'm not trying to be right. I just want you to get it right. I want you to understand. So what kinds of questions would you ask in a scenario where somebody looks like they have some serious declines? And this isn't even necessarily directly addressing the people around him who were propping him up to exploit him, which is clear as day what's going on. Okay. Watch this segment and see the questions that you should have been asking. Why? Not again, because I want to be right, but because I want you to know, I want you to understand. Well, first, I'm going to look at what are the symptoms. All right. I'm gonna look at, okay, is he falling down a lot? Is he, can he identify the date? Is he sleeping during the day? I'll explain to you why I'm asking these questions, these particular questions, in just a few minutes. But that's definitely one of the punchlines. Another I'm gonna talk about is some family history, some background. These are things that I would want to vet out first, and then I'm gonna ask the basic question, right, which is, are there biomarkers? Are there things that are easily identifiable that say, yes, he's on this decline or not? And I'm going to get to those too. All right. So I'll tell you what things I would look at. But let me get to the punchline. That way you have, you know where I'm going. When I do all of this stuff and I look at the stuff that I'm about to go over with you, the answer from my perspective is I'm very concerned for the guy. I'm very concerned because of what we see. Now, the hard part here is, do I really know the frequency of these things? No, I don't. Why? Because some want you to believe it's more often than it is, and some want you to believe it's less often than it is. So they're all skewing this crap. So the truth be told, I don't know if I have enough data to make an accurate assessment, but from what I have seen and what I'm about to go over, I think there's really big reason to be concerned from a professional, clinical experience kind of perspective. Folks, that's it. That's it right there in a nutshell. That is it. What does that mean? It means there was enough evidence at that point in time for us to know that something was going on. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to recap some of the evidence that I saw. I went to just one scene that really captured the gist of how I was putting all of this together. Now, this was in August of 2023 that I put this together, but these were old clips by then, many of them, and there were other clips. There were other pieces of information. Look, if there were people around Joe Biden that wanted to keep him in office for probably most likely, I'm giving you like the purpose was to exploit him to get what they wanted. Okay. If that is their purpose, they're going to try to cover up as many of these things as they could. And they were covering them up. And it was obvious. It was so incredibly obvious because the pure number of them that slipped through uh, was still too many. So watch, I'm going to show you two clips. The first one is a walk-up. I want you to see this. This was in August of 2023 that I did this in a podcast, which means this was probably old by then because I don't typically do it same day. Sometimes I do, but it's unusual. So watch this and just see it for yourself. Knowing what you know now, start putting together how did I miss this so that you don't miss it again in the future. He's walking up, holding hands. As he approaches, he lets go of hands and he takes his spot. Now, let's be real. This is staged chaos. The chaos is real. It happened, but they picked this spot for multiple reasons. Why? The walk up was safer for President Biden. Let's be real. He's holding hands because he's not the most agile, stable person. He has, folks, that clip right there captures so much. But just listen to this within a few minutes of that clip. There was obviously the same stage, but listen to him. Remember, open your eyes, open your ears, and all of your other senses. Listen to this.
It's our Senator Maisie. By the way, Maisie, I told my granddaughter, whose name is Maisie as well. She said, "That's why I like her." Anyway, but her name is Maisie as well. And Jill Takuda, Representative Ed Chase, and Mayor Rick Bassin. Rick, when we talked on the phone, you look like you played in defensive tackle for I don't know who, but somebody good. But
Okay. Y'all can dislike me for saying it, but he's old, folks. He's old. He can barely get through his sentences. I don't dislike what he's trying to do here. But if you can't see that, you're part of the problem. I'm going to be really honest. The more I see him walk up the way that he does, speak the way that he does, represent our nation the way that he does, the more I realize he will not be our next president. Folks, that was in August of 2023. August of 2023, folks. Look, I am no genius. I'm not. What I am is attentive. I pay attention. I use my five senses to gather information, and then I engage my brain to process the information. From there, I can make the most reasonable decisions that I know how. And most of the time, I can do pretty good because I'm not discounting the emotion, the thoughts, or the importance of an appropriate behavior. So I told you at the beginning, I was irritated, that I'm irritated with you because you have been a bunch of the problem, you potentially. Now, if you were on track with all of this as it was going, good for you. I'm glad you're doing the minimum. Like, this is the minimum, folks. This isn't the top of the chart. This is the minimum, is observing and recognizing and controlling our own bias, getting out of our own way. That is the minimum. That is not excelling. It's good for you still, because you're doing the minimum. And make sure that you don't stop there. There's a reason why I'm doing these podcasts. I'm doing these podcasts because that is the next step above the minimum for me. I'm trying to help others see with their eyes, hear with their ears, know how to use their senses in a way that inform them about meta truths, things that are true, whether you like them or not. Reality. So, if I'm going to be true to who I am, which I like to do, many of you have been duped. And that's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, I've been duped before, and it's embarrassing. I'll probably get duped again. For those of you who fell for all of this, I'm not judging you. I'm irritated by you, but I'm not judging you. And nor should anybody else. What we should do is empathize with you, which is what I'm trying to do right now. If you got duped, if you didn't see it because you couldn't see it, or you didn't see it because you didn't want to see it, what I'm asking is that you wake up. You go to your tip of the day, open your eyes, your ears, and all your other senses. Pay attention. Acknowledge reality as reality. Whether it's comfortable and it feels good, or if it's uncomfortable and it hurts. Face reality. Face your deficiencies. We all have them. I have plenty of deficiencies, folks. You've seen some of them on these podcasts. And then do more than the minimum. Take those next steps toward growth so that you don't fall for the same thing again. That's my hope for all of you out there who might hear this. For those of you who have seen those clips before because you've been following me, thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to help people out here. Spread the word. Get these out there for people. Look, I know that my podcast has gone through many different stages. Some of them are uncomfortable for me to watch. Doing this all, I produce it all on my own, and I know that it's not the best quality in the world. But for those of you who have stuck with me anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. Remember, for those of you who are new, you can like, subscribe, and all of those things. It's not hard. You all know how to do it. Just go and do it. Help us get this word to people so that we can prevent this kind of stuff in the future. Because prevention is a lot easier. It's a lot easier. And remember the current lie that's being told to you. That they were there to support and protect Joe Biden. No, they weren't. They were there to exploit him. It is clear as day now, folks. And if you fall for that line, well, you remain in the same bubble that you put yourself in to begin with. And unfortunately, a year, 2 years from now, I'll probably be having a conversation about how you didn't figure it out. Or you can change it now. Thank you so much for following us. I hope this was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.